Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do a film review of World Famous Lover, starring Vijay Deverakonda. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do trailer reactions and film reviews of Indian cinema. I love Vijay Deverakonda. When I saw Arjun Reddy, I saw it twice in 1 week. I thought he was so amazing, so captivating. He has this incredible screen presence. Now, when I saw the trailer for this film, they showed a lot of scenes of him, screaming in anger and with disheveled hair and screaming and crying in the car. And I was like, oh gosh, is this going to be just like Arjun Reddy? I think they were showing us those kind of scenes, kind of like, you like Vijay, you're gonna love this. Really, this is an anthology kind of film. Trailer gave us a sense like he had all different hairstyles, all different looks. One, he was at a coal mine, one, he was skydiving. It's a story about a writer played by Vijay Deverakonda, and he's in a long-term relationship with Raashi Khanna, who is familiar for me from Totally Prema. Their relationship is going through troubles. Through his pain, he writes several sort of alternative stories. So we have the overarching story of his relationship with Yamini, and then we have 3 other smaller stories, which are stories that he writes. So thus, Vijay gets to act with 4 different actresses. Besides Raashi, we have Aishwarya Rajesh, who was my favorite. Then we have a character named Smita, played by Tresa, and finally, a kind of a French actress, Izabelle Leite. So with the French model, there's a story that takes place in Paris. There's a coal miner, union leader kind of story set in Telangana, and I asked my friend Shri, who was at the movie with me, did Vijay do the authentic accent well? Got a lot of reaction from the crowd, and she said yes, he did. So the story with Telangana has actually 2 women. He's in a marriage, he's, a very down-to-earth laborer, union leader kind of guy, and he has an arranged marriage wife with Aishwarya playing Suvarna, and they have a 5-year-old child. So this may be the first time I've seen Vijay playing a father. And then he has a flirtation at work with this very sophisticated woman named Smita. Now, this is the part of the movie that I probably like the most, because we're seeing Vijay just get like these puppy eyes about this very sophisticated woman, flirting with him and touching his shoulder, and he just gets this look on his face like, oh my God, she just touched me. But his marriage is going through a lot of trouble. There's a lot of angst in this film. I whispered to Shri at one point, I can tell this movie was written by a man. Kranthi Madhav wrote the script and directed this film. I think this is his 4th feature film. I have not seen any of his other films. I was just going to be honest with you. I did not love this film. I did not love it. There is a scene at the end where the author, played by Vijay, has what I would call a groveling moment. So it's kind of an epic grovel at the end, and it tied a lot of things together, and you're like, oh, he thought this, but now he's learned his lesson and he really knows it's this way. Okay, but it was kind of too late, not enough, because this is a film that's almost 3 hours long. I literally was looking at my phone to see what time it was at one point, which is not a good sign. There were people laughing in the film, some guys in front of me, laughing at parts that weren't supposed to be funny. So I don't think it really won over my audience first day for show in Chicago. My friend Shri thought it was fine. She thought it was nice, but there were things about the film that bothered me, and it's more the script. I'm not faulting Vijay's performance. He gave it his all, as he always does, in comedic parts or angsty parts or screaming parts or whatever. It's more how the script was put together that I had an issue with, and the motivations of certain women characters. I can't get into too much of that without spoilers, so I'm going to have a spoiler section at the end where I can do a little rant. But I don't know. It just somehow didn't gel together. I also have to say Raashi Khanna, who I loved in Toli Prema, seemed a little flat. She's supposed to be depressed. She has this big scene where she blows up at Vijay and walks out on him. And I don't know. Somehow there were so many points in this where I should have felt this deep emotional angst and connection, and it wasn't there. And I'm not exactly sure what to put my finger on, if it's the filmmaker, if it's the way it was put together, if scenes were too long. What exactly magic pixie dust wasn't on this film that on paper probably looked fantastic, but somehow the elements put together just didn't completely work for me. Also, the music just was not a standout to me, and I know particularly, like, I'm thinking of Toli Prema because I'm mentioning Raashi as part of that. The music soundtrack for that film was so amazing, and I just didn't have that with this film. It was just okay. And when you're talking about a big love story, or 4 big love stories, you should have great music to go with it. I can understand why Vijay was excited about doing this film. He gets to play all different characters. He gets to be in Paris. He gets to romance all of these different women. It is a showcase for him. But it just didn't completely work. I know people are going to go see this anyway because it's a Vijay movie. And he does still have that screen presence. That's the whole reason I was there at the film. That was the whole reason my friend Shree went. Now, I'm going to get into a spoiler section to talk about my issues with the way certain women characters were written. So, if you haven't seen the film and you don't want spoilers, stop now. Okay, if you've seen the film, I have issues with a couple of characters. One is the French pilot who suddenly decides, no, we're not going to have sex. We're going to wait until we're married. Said no French girl ever. I don't know. Was it something where I'm almost wondering if they made them pull back from that scene and say, oh no, we have to make this somewhat family friendly. You can't go there. It just seems so unrealistic and crazy to me. Okay, that's number one. But probably other people thought it was sweet. I was just like, what? Then the other thing that I really had an issue with, I love the character of Suvarna. Aishwarya, as I said, was I think my favorite actress in the film. She's playing a wife in an arranged marriage. You know, at the beginning you think, that they have some chemistry, but Vijay's character is so dismissive of her, always putting her down, always yelling at her, startling her so that she, dropped things. After 7 years of marriage, he's yelling at her for being scared because he's like, we already have a child together. What are you scared about? And yet he's so harsh with her. And then he starts this flirtation with the woman at work, and she sees it, and she has things to cry about. She lovingly makes biryani for him, and then she sees him feeding it to the other woman at a park. Like, so many things that she goes through, and just humiliations, people in her neighborhood noticing that her husband is not coming home at night and wondering, is he going to sleep at home? Everybody knows that she is being cheated on in the neighborhood, and she just flings herself on the bed at one point in humiliation and tears. Then she picks herself up. She goes back to school. She goes for a seamstress course. She tried to apply for college and got like the very top score, so her picture was in the paper. And that's how Vijay's character learns that she's been doing all this stuff, because he's been canoodling with the lady from work. And he comes home and they reconcile. And she's dressed in Western wear, and my inner voice was, leave him now, go. She reconciles. Shree and I talked about that scene, and she's like, well, but that's what women in India would do. And I'm like, and that's one of the points where I said, okay, this was written by a man, because it's like they're trying to be feminist, they're trying to be women empowerment, and yet she grovels to Vijay to ask him back to stay instead of him groveling and asking. Yeah, I get a little fired up about that part. But anyway, the actress, you did a brilliant job with the words that you were given to say that I wanted to. So now, like I said, at the end, there's this epic grovel. Melanie has walked out on Vijay because I realized they weren't even married. So it's like, okay, we're showing this radical live-in relationship. His grovel at the end, after he's written the book and learned all these lessons, their reconciliation, it was like a mirror image of Arjun Reddy meeting on the park bench. That was good. It was good that they had that reconciliation. But again, like, he never says, I'm sorry to her again. It's just, hey, let's go home. There was some good ideas there, but just the execution of how it went about. I will just say, like I said, Vijay's performance I thought was very good. Love to hear, if you see the film, what you think about it. I'm looking forward to any new film that Vijay would do. I think he's making interesting choices between comedy and, love stories and whatever. I'm looking forward to what he does next. I'll be there. First day, first show. But this one was a little bit of a miss for me. Follow me on Twitter at Pardesi Leite. Subscribe here to Pardesi Reviews. And if you hit the bell when you subscribe, you'll never miss another trailer reaction or a film review.